like I had a lot of mum guilt when I set up. I worked weekends and I'd work evenings and things just to kind of make ends meet. I want to do it completely differently and encompass like my whole family, and that includes being present for like my mum and dad and things like that as well. When you're determined, it means that you're showing up. You can't just be like, oh, I'm going to do this and then wait for it to happen. It doesn't, and it's taking consistent action, and that's literally every day. And I think this is where a lot of people struggle.
Hi Vanessa, welcome back.
Hello.
Are you happy to be here again?
Yes, and hopefully we have no technical difficulties.
Third time lucky. No, we're here now in the new studio doing it on video. So thank you very much for coming back. And this is a special episode actually coming into the new year. You want to talk to us all about goals and goal setting.
Yes.
Why is this an important topic for you?
It's a real passion. A real passion.
Were you the kind of kid at school where like every new year you got like a new pencil case and a new planner?
Yes. Yeah. I love a new notebook, and it all be like, really crisp and soft, and I have all new pens. I still have a pencil case now of coloured pens.
I love that. So was this when I guess like goal setting and like you also do vision boards, like manifestation. When did this all start for you?
Quite a young age, really. I've always wrote down things like a spider diagram, with the little clouds and things, and I put things down. That was from in my teenage years. And then going into business, which was 9 years ago, I created business plans out of these spider diagrams with all different coloured clouds and things, and all really pretty. And so it kind of came from there, but it's one of the most powerful tools that I found that have got me results, so that's why I'm so passionate about them.
Brilliant. Okay, and I guess we need to touch on the time of year that we're filming this. Obviously coming into the new year, new me. So I think the purpose of today is to help people set some meaningful goals to give them the best chance possible of actually achieving them in the new year.
Definitely. So not the New Year's resolutions.
Not the New Year's resolutions. And I know that you're cringing at that because we were literally just talking before, and I actually have some stats to share with you. So by the end of January, 90% of people have actually failed their New Year's resolutions, and literally within the first week of starting, 70% of people have already given up. Why do you think that is?
I think it's quite an alarming stat, first of all.
It is an alarming stat,
I didn't actually think it was going to be that high, but I think there's this whole new year, new me, and let's jump on the bandwagon of setting, these New Year's resolutions. And it's almost like people feel like they've got to. Yeah. Every year, and there's this societal pressure to do them. And I think it's a bit like when September comes, for me, that's like the start of a new year, because that's the new academic year when I'm there with my new notebook and pens and things. And I think people see it as a fresh start, but they don't actually think about things properly. I think one of the biggest things to setting your goals is actually identifying your why, and that's the most powerful point. Yeah, so your why is what's going to get you through the really tough times. And being in business, there's a lot of those. And I think if you can really dig deep and find out why it is that you're doing what you're doing, or why it is that you want to achieve something, that's the key part. Because when things get really hard, you're choosing your hard. So if say your New Year's resolution is, I'm going to lose some weight. We've been on about that this morning as well, haven't we? It's hard to commit to, whether it's calorie counting or a gym program or a boot camp, but then it's just as hard, if not harder, to feel uncomfortable in your own skin and things. And so having your why is what ultimately is going to propel you through with your goals.
I think why is a really powerful subject, and I'm going to throw this back at you and ask you what your why is.
So mine is my family, and providing them the best life that I can. And that doesn't just mean in monetary terms, that means being that mum that's present, being that mum that's not snapping at them, when I'm really stressed and things. So that's why I've wanted to work part-time, so I do 4 days. And, you know, to be able to have a Friday with Oscar where, you know, I'll go out and do things with him, soft play. Yes, we do the food shop as well, so we do some boring bits, but that is my why. Like, I had a lot of mum guilt when I set up Premier Tax that, you know, I worked weekends and I'd work evenings and things just to kind of make ends meet, and I felt really bad, like, on Lucy at the time, whereas now it's like, I want to do it completely differently and encompass like my whole family, and that includes being present for like my mum and dad and things like that as well.
I like that. I remember when I first set my business up, and like you kind of digged into this with me because obviously like I don't have a family. Like I don't really know what my why was. Like I just had an idea for an agency that I wanted to test, and I guess like bring a vision in my head to life. So I think like people's whys can be so different.
Yeah.
But all that matters to me is like you show up every day.
Yeah.
And to be fair, like I'm quite disciplined in the sense of like I will show up even if I can't give 100%. I'll give 100% of what I've got that day.
Yeah.
Like at the gym, like I really try not to miss workouts. Like if I'm ill, to be fair, and this is a problem that I have, like I still show up and do like the bare minimum of work that needs to be done. Yeah. And like that for me has always kind of just got me through. But yeah, I think having that, there probably is a why that's subconscious, but like, yeah.
And it does change as well. So if, you know, you look at my why, say 2 to 3 years ago, it's completely different than what it is now. And obviously my family setup is a lot different as well. So it's okay for that to change, and, you know, what it would have been when you set up the business might not necessarily be where it is right now. So I think taking that time to reflect.
How do you kind of pull back into that? Because you mentioned reflection, and I think so much of the time people have these like generic goals, like to run a marathon or like I don't know, do really ridiculous things that they think like is a societal achievement. But actually, if they take that time to reflect, for them, it's not actually something that will make them happy. So how do you know that your goals are actually what's going to make you happy and drive you?
I do spend time doing reflection. So I've got something called a posh book.
Oh,
so,
okay.
So it's a really battered now Emma Bridgewater notebook that I went and bought, and it's that shiny thing at the time. And I have consistently written in that, like, at key points during the year. So my time to reflect is usually when I'm away on holiday. I have a lot of holidays, I know that. And then also this time of year. So I won't do any actual work over the 2-week Christmas period that I'm off, but I'll do reflection work. And I'll literally write down a reflection of, you know, where I am right now. What does life look like? What things are stressing me out? What things have gone really well? And I think when you come to do your goal setting for the next year, I think a start point would be to have a reflection over the last year, because there's no point in being like, right, this is what I'm going to do, and it's then not authentic to you. So I think if you start with your reflections and look at, you know, what went really well, what went not so well, you know, it might be that you bring in some things like how much you want to earn, how much you earned this year, and things like that. That is a good start point then for digging into a goal that you actually want to achieve, because you've already kind of got the mind thinking.
Okay. That kind of ties in really well, actually, because with the work that like I do a lot of time tracking, so I see where my time goes. And what I do like on a kind of monthly basis is think to myself like, right, okay, well, what have I actually spent time on this month? And then if I'm not 100% happy with it, like I adjust accordingly. So if I've been like, oh, we'll do it, don't you? When like your friends are like, oh, are you going to come out? And I'm like, oh, sorry, I've not got time. It's like, actually, we do have time. Like, it's just how we structure that time and how we make it.
Yeah.
So you kind of take that approach to your reflections and your goal setting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's kind of the baseline for me. And you can buy different tools and books and things like that help you to do the reflections. But I just kind of like free flow with it to get it all down. And then that helps then to start thinking about where your goals are. But a vision board is another key aspect. So I've created mine ready for next year.
Nice.
And it's in the kitchen cupboard, which I know sounds a bit random, but it's in the kitchen cupboard where all my washing powders and my coffee is. So I go in it like multiple times a day. So it's taped on the inside, and the reason being is I will open it and obviously see it quite often, but then not everybody that comes into the house sees it then as well, because then like they might be like, oh, why have you got this on there? And like somebody made a comment about it saying, why is there so many children on there? And I'm like, the things that are on there mean something. It's not necessarily what the picture is. So there was like some children sat in a bedroom with like a little night light on, and to me that is creating a happy and stable home environment where the children feel very loved and safe.
And not like you want 7 more kids in the next like 5 years.
I think Kenny would run off right now as well.
But no, I guess it's your vision though, isn't it? Like, I know when we did that exercise and you made me do one, I think I had just about like every designer bag on there whatsoever. But actually, when I look at where I've spent my money this past year, like it's not been like I've bought myself one bag. It wasn't even that great.
It's not quite the Birkin yet.
Not quite the Birkin yet. That my goal actually with the Birkin is I want a Birkin by the age of 35. So I've got a good goal. I've got a few years to achieve that.
And you will.
Oh, I definitely will.
I think you're quite like me, that you're very much determined, and I think that'll take you very far with things, because when you're determined, it means that you're showing up and you're taking the action. So that's another part of goal setting and like having a vision board. Like you can't just be like, oh, I'm going to do this and then wait for it to happen. It doesn't, and it's taking consistent action, and that's literally every day. And so something that I use for that is my planner. So I designed one for using with the clients that I've got, so that it kind of helps to get them into a habit and a routine. But it's the things that you're doing every day, those little things that then add up to you achieving these bigger goals.
I think a lot of people say, don't they, that like consistency beats intensity. And I 100% agree with that. It's like we were talking again about like weight loss earlier, and this year I've lost over 15 kilograms, and that's from like literally changing like my entire approach to food. It wasn't like a crash diet. It's taken me pretty much the entire year, and I've got 1 stone left that I want to try and get off before like May next year. But I just kind of thought, like, with the mindset of, like, I didn't put all of this on overnight. Like, it's the accumulation of, like, 6-7 years of like really intense work, not a lot of movement, pretty bad food habits. Like we were talking earlier, I'm one of those people where like I can go all day without eating because I'm so like hyper focused on what it is that I'm doing, and then I'm starving and I just like reach for the closest thing. Whereas like actually what I needed to do was first admit that I had a problem, which is like one thing that a lot of people don't want to do, and then come up with like systems and structures. And obviously we've had Matt on the podcast, and he massively helps. I now know about nutrition. Like I meal prep every Sunday. Like I do a food shop every Sunday, which was never a thing that I did. And all of these things, like how you were saying earlier, you have to do some of the boring bits, like you do your food shop instead of like spending all day at soft play. But that 1 hour that I spend picking the food shop up and bringing it home and meal prepping it probably saves me a good like 4 or 5 hours throughout the week when you actually look at it. And there's that saying by I'm forgetting it now, where you that really
fail to plan.
Yes, you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
That's the one. I knew there'd be some sort of blooper that comes out in the podcast.
Oh God, we'll have to do a roundup of them, won't we? But, we'll plan that in.
It's baby brain, honestly, since I've had Oscar. Like with every child that I've had, the brain just gets worse.
So I don't know what my excuse is then. So coming back then to I guess taking action, it's really weird that you say that, because I was having this conversation with someone last night. Like my word for next year is action, which is weird actually, because like how you say, like I am one of those people where like it doesn't take me long to springboard into something, but even I think sometimes I can get caught up in like, is this the best system? Like, am I planning this a bit too much? And that's one thing that I've really worked on myself over the past few years, not overthink. And like, I think if you are the type of person that is like, you know, your classic type A planner, you can fall into the trap of like, procrastination planning.
Yeah, definitely. And I think one of the biggest things for me this year has been action, and also like not worrying too much about like perfectionism. Like it's better to get something out and like done, even though it's, you know, not the perfect thing. And also another thing is making decisions really quickly, like without deliberating too much. Obviously, if it's something really, you know, critical and serious, you're going to take time to think, but you need to make decisions and, you know, action them quickly. And then that this year has completely changed things for me.
Yeah, I get that. And I think especially like, one, running a business, that's a really good skill to have. But two, just like the dynamic landscape that like we find ourselves in now as business owners, like some businesses, they were completely changed overnight by some of the policies that the new government brought in, especially ones in like the property industry. Like I knew development companies that like all of a sudden, like they had like an extra 15k that they needed to find a budget for overnight because they had 2 properties going through. And it's like, like as a small business, like obviously that had crippled me. Like I don't just have like, I'm a year in business. I don't just have a reserve of 15k yet.
No.
Like, so you've just got to like make decisions and roll with them, haven't you? Because you don't have the time, I think, now to actually deliberate on things.
No. And I think sometimes the more that you deliberate, you then going into the zone of procrastination and you're just slowing everything down, and ultimately it's going to affect you. Like you're the person that, you know, makes shit happen. And if you're procrastinating and thinking too much and worrying too much about things, then, you know, you're only kind of like limiting yourself.
What's your opinion on self-help books?
I really like them. And I think as long as you take something out of them, like I wouldn't like read them and think, oh, everything in there is gospel, but there is some like really interesting points that you can pick up. So there's one where there was time blocking.
Yeah.
Grace Beverly.
Yes.
That one like was really good, reading about that kind of thing.
Working hard, hardly working.
Yeah. So like I try and take like little bits from these books, and like I've started listening to a lot of podcasts now as well, because when you're hearing other business owners talk and they're saying like what works for them, you're like, oh, like I could try that, or that would definitely work for me. And so you know, traditionally I've always read the books, but now I've moved more to podcasts.
No, I agree, to be fair. I think my opinion of self-help books is I think a lot of people, I think some of them are great, but you know how some people are like, I really want to read 52 books this year, and they see the number as 52 and then it's all about checking a book off, but they don't actually take anything actionable from them. Whereas like I'd rather read 4 books in a year and action like them and take my time to digest them. And this is from someone who reads really, really quickly. Like I absorb information like pretty much no one else I've ever met.
Yeah.
And it's one of those where it's like, but you can't absorb and action everything all at once. Like if we come back to like creating something into a routine or a habit, there's so many different like, I think, variations of how long it takes. Is it 21 days, 66 days, 90 days? We don't know, but you can't just read one book and then completely transform your life. I don't know anyone who's ever done it successfully. And the amount of intense pressure that you're putting on yourself for the sake of like reading a book and implementing everything on the get-go.
Yeah, and I think this is where a lot of people struggle in general, is that, you know, they'll sign up for a course or do something like, oh, you know, read a book, and then they don't take the actual action afterwards. So they're just constantly learning things, but then you know, they might think that they're actioning a little bit of it, but if you sit down and you intentionally action it and plan what you're going to do, then that just takes things to a whole new level, and it's like you're just springboarding like upwards then.
The thing is as well, like you get it with like information overload, and like I say this in the sense of like, so theoretically, like we all know how to lose weight, don't we?
Yeah.
Like you eat less, you move more. But it's not that simple. And this year has been like a really, really intense year, because obviously I've massively transformed my life and gone from being employed to self-employed to then being an employer. And I, yes, could have showed up at the gym every day, but actually the fact that like I had someone there to structure my workouts and to make going into the gym easier and to break down those barriers to entry to get me to actually show up that really helped.
Yeah.
And I think, yes, we can do a lot of this stuff by just reading a book, but actually never underestimate the power of just like having people in your corner that can help you.
Yeah, definitely. And I always find like the best thing for me getting results is using like a plan and just getting back to basics and making sure that, you know, this is what goals I've set. It might be for the week or the month. And am I actually taking intentional action that's going to get me closer to those? Because I think a danger that we all have in business is that you're so busy being busy, and it's like you get caught up in the mundane admin tasks, or you're like, you don't want to let a client down, and then all of a sudden it becomes more about everybody else than it does you and your goals, and you get a bit lost in amongst it all. And that's happened to me before.
Yeah, I've definitely felt that this month. This December's been like really tough. I remember saying to you before we started this, like my outfit today is giving like Bridget Jones' frazzled English woman, and exactly how you've just said. And I think it's because like I've been so focused on setting all of our clients up for 2025, and obviously we've got a new starter joining us in 2025, that I've almost thought, well. And also, like, my friends want to do a lot of stuff in December. It's always a really sociable month. That actually, like, I've not managed to go to the gym as much, and I've slipped out of, like, my bedtime routine, and then you end up, like, being even more frazzled, and then you're snappy with people, and it's one of those where it's, like, you can see the degradation of all of this stuff. That actually, like, if I just learn to say no to a few things, it might not be this way.
Yeah, it is really hard. And, like, I've learned to say no. And, like, this year, the only Christmas drinks that I've been to professionally is the networking ones that we had at Field Dead Farm. And aside from that, I've literally said no to everything because I've had so many years like you where I'm absolutely frazzled and I'm like, this year I'm just not doing it because, you know, having, like, a toddler that screams all the time, like whether he's happy or sad, it's like I'd rather be happy and calm at home. And like when I do my goal setting and looking at the areas of your life, I split them into 6 areas, and one of them is self-care and wellness. Like, you know, I might put Olaplex on my hair, or fake tan, or have early nights, and it's those kind of things. You know, people
that make you feel like you.
Yeah, because I think people get caught up in, oh, you know, you must set these business goals and smash them, but then it's all well and good smashing the business, but then what about if, like, your home life is suffering, or your relationships, or, like, you were burning out? Like, everything kind of holistically comes together and they all impact each other, and so they're all just as important.
It's so true. I remember a few years ago, actually, when I was studying for the CIM degree thing that I did, I also had started a new job, was setting up new service areas within that job, growing a team in that job, and it got to the point where my friends were actually calling my mum to check how I was because like I just wasn't, I was so like kind of laser focused. And I think, look, it's a great trait to have, but at the same time, like, I'm not going to sit here and tell everyone that I have an incredible personal life when that's like quite far from the case.
I think it's work-life balance, but I like to use work-life harmony because I don't feel like I ever have like a complete balance.
I don't think anyone does, do they?
And it's like it swings about a little bit, and sometimes it could be that, you know, right now that business is busy for me, so that kind of has to take a little bit of precedence in December, January, but then it'll swing the other way then, and, you know, family life then gets a lot more attention, or, you know, time with my friends and things like that.
I think as well, like, given the age and stuff that like I'm at, and you probably still have this, to be fair, but like I went on a night out with some of my friends on Friday, and we rarely get to see each other. Me because of business, but also then my best friend had a little girl a few years ago, and she's only just started coming out again. So 2 very completely different reasons, but just like going out and spending time with people just hasn't been part of our radar.
No, and I think one tip I can give you is day drinking, because then you can be in bed by 9 o'clock.
That is very true, actually, and I wish I'd have done that.
Yeah, I can't cope with hangovers anymore, and especially when I have to be up at 5 a.m. regardless. With
yeah,
Oscar.
That's true, actually. No, I managed to stay in bed till 8 o'clock, and Perks of being a 28-year-old with no real responsibilities.
Yeah, sometimes that's quite nice, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it definitely is. So in terms then of vision boards, again, I want to bring you back to that and manifestation, because there's a lot around manifestation that I think just feels a little bit woo-woo to people.
Yeah.
And we've had this conversation before, but in terms then of manifestation, I think it'd be really helpful if you gave us a definition of what manifestation means to you.
So I like to use the word visualization with it. So visualization techniques are used by world-class athletes, and so they are thinking about how it looks and feels when they win a race, and so that's kind of how they visualize and, you know, bring things to life. And so I think that's something really important. And I think with manifestation as well, I think people kind of think, oh, you know, I'm going to manifest, I want like £1 million or something like that. And then they just sit there and wait for it to come. And it's like, you have to take action. So like, I genuinely believe in like the power of the universe and things like that. And I'm not too woo, but like, I do believe in something.
You just woo, not woo-woo.
Yeah, definitely.
Just have the one.
Yeah, I'm not sitting here with my crystals just yet. Maybe give it a few more years and I might
But you can read my tarot cards or whatever that is.
Yeah, I've had a few tarot readings actually over the years, and we'll go off on a tangent.
Okay.
But quite a few years ago, I went with one of my friends that does tarot reading. She was learning how to do angel Reiki.
Oh, okay.
And so when I went to this lady that was training her, she said to me that she sees a little boy, that I was going to have a baby. And then my friend that, you know, is in touch with her psychic side, she said she could see me being pregnant. And at the time I was like, absolutely no way. And then I don't know how many years we are now, about 7 or 8 years later, and you know, I have got like a little boy and things. So I do genuinely believe that there is some elements of it, and you know, there's like fate and things are meant to be. But I think you have to be realistic as well and like take action.
Yeah, no, I get that. Like I feel like me sat here saying, oh, I really want to Birkin, but actually I've done a lot of research and I know that probably my best chance of getting one is Bond Street. I've got my 5-year plan in my head of like, oh, okay, so I need to make a relationship with a sales associate. So I know what I need to do. I'm not just like, give me a Birkin.
Yeah, because that's not going to happen, is it? Unless, like, I don't know, you won the lottery or something. And
oh, God, I don't even play the lottery. I think you make your own luck in life.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am going to caveat this with, I do actually have real goals, you know. I don't just like, I'm not just obsessed with this sodding bag.
So what are your goals for next year then?
Oh, okay. My goals for next year. I know. Tell me your 6 areas that you break them down to, and I'll give you a goal for each of them.
Okay, so we'll start off with your business.
Business, I would like to double the turnover of what we've hit this year, keep and maintain, I guess, decent profit margins that we're doing, and maybe double the team with that as well. Okay. And just work with more incredible clients that share our vision and want to invest in marketing effectively. And
then what about finances? And that can mean like your personal finances or the business finances.
Do personal finances, to be fair. So I want to pay my last car payment off in full. I'd like an emergency fund because when I started this business, I didn't have one. And it's taken me a while to obviously get the business to where it is, where it's effectively, like, luckily enough, paying me more than what my old salary was. But I don't take loads from the business, like, you know that. Like, I invest heavily back into giving Big Reputation the best chance it has to build strong foundations and flourish into something that will hopefully one day be quite big.
Yeah. And then what about self-care?
Self-care is just going to the gym, and I don't say that in like, I want to look a certain way. Like, I feel so much better when I'm at the gym, and just not even start a structure, just maintain it. Maybe implement a few more things. So like, I weight train, I do Pilates once a week, and I really want to do a high rocks, so I just need to up my cardio slightly so I can cope with the 10k dashes.
And then physical environment.
Physical environment. I really want to put a drive on my house. That's the only thing that I can think of, really. Like, I'm really happy with this space for work, and probably, I don't know if this kind of comes into it, but like be more mindful of who I actually let into my physical environment, and like I'm a really peaceful person. I don't really like drama or conflict, and people that bring, I guess, like dysregulation into my life. I don't like it. So just making sure that like I guess, protect that peace as much as possible for myself.
Yeah. And that leads into nicely one of the final two, which is friends and family.
Friends and family. I actually spend more time with my friends and my family because these last few years actually just haven't been great for me making time for them. And I know that in some instances I've been a really, really rubbish friend because I've just not been there for people.
Yeah, and I know that feeling because it is hard and you get pulled in so many directions. And then the final one is personal development.
Oh, Be More Miranda. So my favourite film was Devil Wears Prada.
Love.
And it is, yeah. And not in the sense of like, I don't want people obviously like terrified of me in that sense. But I think the premise of like holding such high standards that like you inspire people to really want to achieve them. And also like I'd never ask anyone to do something that I wouldn't do myself. And the standards that I set, I hold myself to them more so than anybody else around me. And I think that's the one thing that I would say is like, I just hold myself to such high standards that I hope that it brings everybody else along with me.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by Be More Miranda. And at times, yeah, like actually stick up for myself a bit more and...
those boundaries, isn't it?
Yeah, just like not taking shit from people. And like if people have crossed a line, you just tell them.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I think sometimes, especially like when it comes into like friendships and stuff, we can be like, oh, this person's going through a really tough time, or like, oh, they're really busy as well. But actually it's like, no, I don't want to be treated that way. Therefore, like, I'm going to make a choice to be like, no, I'm not going to be treated this way.
Yeah. And I think that's something really important is you can still be kind and show empathy by, saying, I'm not okay with this behaviour, or I don't want to be around this because, it doesn't make you a bad person. What is worse is that if you're like, I'm not going to say a complete doormat because that'd be the wrong term to use, but if you, put yourself last and put everybody else first, then I do think that's then massively at your detriment. And I do think that we need to kind of protect ourselves a bit more. And I do see this kind of theme coming out a little bit more with the younger generation. So like especially my daughter Lucy, like she will like voice, she's quite opinionated, and she'll voice her opinion and be like, I'm not happy with how that person spoke to me, but then at the same time she'll be really open and honest. Like if somebody wants like feedback on like their outfit or makeup, because this is what matters in a 15-year-old's world, isn't it? She will be like, very honest with it as well.
But I think that's nice though, because like when you actually think about like the best relationships and friendships that you have with people, they're the people that like they know the standard that you set for yourself, and then they help you get to that. So if like I ever did something and it kind of went completely against what I said I wanted for myself, I know for a fact that all of my friends would be like, look, like we're not cool with this, or like is this really who you actually want to be, because it's not who you say you want to be. And they're the sort of people that like, it can be a bit of an uncomfortable conversation for 10 or 15 minutes, but it's coming from a place of love. Yeah. And they're the people that actually like, when you surround yourself with them, they push you to achieve your goals because they want you to achieve them. Yeah. They're not the people that are like, oh, I just want more drink. Or like, is it okay if you have a kebab? It's kind of like today, like I said to you, like, oh, do you want anything from Greg's? You were like, no, it's cool, I've had a banana. I was never like, go on and have a bacon sandwich. Do you want a sausage on it? Like, no, that's absolutely cool. I personally like, I'm too busy to eat in December and I've slipped into some bad habits, but I'm not going to ruin somebody else's. Like, if they're really on it, they're on it. Yeah, it's you're like just going to respect more pound that
for Christmas,
and you'll get there.
That banana's gonna make all the difference.
It really will, yeah. That Greg's that you didn't take me up on today, that's your pound.
Yeah, and I was there like, what did you have, Charles?
Yeah, because I had like one meal yesterday, so
Yeah.
mine's like the opposite end.
Yeah. Self-care. You need to make sure you eat.
Yeah, that is true. Slightly to do with the prolonged hangover, probably from Friday though. So,
Yeah.
okay, what are your goals?
So a big one for me next year is to look to buy another family home.
Okay.
So the property that we're in now will end up being a rental property, and the kids have got enough bedrooms that they've got one each, but the house just isn't quite big enough. But it was making the best of a bad situation for last year, and then ultimately it meant that obviously we can have it as a rental property. So I want either a 3 or 4 bed house near to Lucy's school, and that's probably the biggest thing. And then we'd like a second car, so I've got an Audi A1 on my vision board.
Nice.
So I'd like to be able to achieve both of those, and that'd make life a lot easier. And then I've got some smaller things like places to visit, or like I'd got like a pantry and stuff on there. So in my other house that I've got that I rent out now, I'd got a pantry in there, and it was like, that was like complete goals. Yeah, and I had everything, all my spices and little like jars and everything. And I want either that again or enough cupboard space that I can have everything like how I want it. So there's like things like that are my goals, and like spending time with the family, you know, and making sure that I am true to what I want with spending time with the kids, and, you know, making sure that they feel loved, you know, and they've got my energy, and I'm not snappy mummy because I'm so tired. So that's kind of my goals ready for next year. But I think it's building on what I've done this year, and it's like going back to those reflections. And, you know, I will take time over Christmas to evaluate what's gone well, and a lot has gone well. Like this year has just been poles apart from last year. And so if I could replicate what I've done this year, that would be absolutely incredible, and then just add a few things on.
I think going back to that, actually, like how you kind of see it in terms of years, like there's that saying, isn't there, where it's like people underestimate what they can do in 1 year. No, overestimate what they can do in 1 year, but underestimate what they can do in 10 years.
Yeah.
And I think when you actually zoom out and like you see the big picture of life, that's when it's like really important.
Yeah, yeah. And like I like to look back at like 5 years, you know, what I was doing 5 years ago, and like next year that will be quite a big year for me, because 5 years ago, aside from COVID, I bought a house which was my dream house for me and Lucy. And so it's like that 5-year cycle's here, and hopefully I'm going to be buying like, you know, the dream kind of family home that we want as well. So it is nice to look back, and I think if you look back at the bigger milestone points, you're like, wow, like I've come so far.
So in terms of then next year, you're actually launching something in the new year, and this is one of the reasons that we're here talking today.
Yeah.
So tell me about CollabHERate.
So CollabHERate is going to be a community for female entrepreneurs, and the reason that I named it CollabHERate and it's got a her in the middle is because obviously it's, you know, designed around females. And I think some of the biggest movements that I've had in my business is when I've had support of other female business owners, especially in my industry as well. Like the industry has kind of changed a lot the last 5 years, and there's so much collaboration and support and sharing of information that, you know, if we open up and be truthful with each other, we can share information that benefits everybody and kind of makes you move a lot quicker. So the idea with it is you've got support, you've got the like-minded business owners somewhere that you can talk about things. So, you know, conversations that we have in the workplace can be anything from the menopause to diet, you know, and it's a safe space to talk about these things, because holistically, whatever's going on at home or in your mind then comes into business as well. And then I'm having masterclasses and, you know, get shit done sessions where people can like come and get things done online, so they're not on their own and they're not procrastinating. And then masterclasses that are going to further people's education, but with the idea of it being actionable, that they can like, you know, turn up every month to these things that we've got going on and have made a little leap in their business. So by the end of the year, they should have made quite a few leaps, and it's been well worth them being in there.
I like that. So it's kind of like a community then as such, isn't it?
Yeah. And it, I want to touch as many people as I can, like with
Not in a Jimmy Savile way.
Definitely not.
Just gotta throw that in there.
But like with accounts and tax returns, you've got like, I don't know, like £200 or something for a year. And it's like, I can't give loads of my time and advice for that. But if people are paying, for this membership, then I can give more. Yeah, they're not going to get me one-on-one for it, but it's like the next best thing. So that's how I want to touch people.
Great clarification. But I also think as well, like, one-to-one works really well for me because, like, obviously that's in my diary. That's a meeting with you that I have every, like, couple of weeks. And I'm also the type of person where, like, I probably know a lot of this stuff anyway because of, like, I'm really up to date in terms of, like, cultural awareness, like social media trends, what actually the big topics of the world are. Being obviously a marketing agency, we talk about things like menopause, like productivity, all of this sort of stuff with our clients all the time because, like, we're probably working on campaigns that have at least something to do with them or know people that are working on campaigns like that. And what actually I find better about, like, the one-to-one coaching sessions that I have with you is I can show up and you meet me where I'm at, and it is like that. But in the past, when I have been a part of communities, so like for me, there's one called Girls in Marketing that was great when I first started out. Like, there were kind of like, monthly workshops, and you just felt like you were a part of a community that was so much bigger than you.
Yeah.
And that was a really nice feeling. And one that actually, like, I'm kind of looking forward to getting back to because I think the problem with being so tunnel visioned is you're so tunnel visioned.
Yeah. And you don't know what opportunities you're going to find that comes out of it. Your next client could be sat in this group, for example.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I think it's like, obviously this year's been super intense with me. I've not really had much time to do anything other than be tunnel visioned. And I'm really glad that I did maintain that focus because I'm sat here and now obviously we've got another person joining the team, which means I can start to open up and be a bit more extroverted than what I have been this past year.
Yeah, because it'll take the pressure off.
Yeah, and it's not just like me sat at a desk, like...
Yeah.
Like, I can be a bit more gregarious and open to talking to people again.
Yeah.
Which I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, it is nice. But then at the same time, like, it's draining my social battery.
True, yeah. I just quite like a happy medium, to be fair.
Yeah, being able to go and hide in a corner when you need to in the darkness.
That's me. Have you ever seen me at a party? I'm usually in the kitchen stroking the dog.
Yeah.
So, okay, CollabHERate then. Give us a quick elevator pitch in terms of, like, if people are interested and bringing it back to setting goals, if they've got some big goals that they want to achieve in the new year, how can CollabHERate help them?
So we're going to launch in January, so we're getting ready for the new year, new me, but because we don't launch until the 13th of January, like, the doors open,
70% of people will be like...
Exactly, yeah. So they're like, I've already failed at, like, staying out of the celebration, so, I want to kind of get serious about business. But one of the first topics I'm going to do is around, like, strategy and setting yourself up for the year, and then those people that join in the initial batch are going to get a goal setting workshop, which you've done, and a planner as well for free, and it's worth like £100 for that session. So
awesome.
So I'm hoping to get people set up, but set up properly, that it's meaningful, and digging into the why and vision board and that kind of thing first, and having some actual strategy rather than I want to buy a Porsche this year and that's it.
Yeah, true. And hopefully as well you'll have the ability with it launching on the 13th to really pressure test some of those maybe ideas that they've had around, like, New Year, New Me.
Yeah.
And if they really want to. Because, like, I also think as well with, like, New Year's resolutions and stuff, I do have goals for next year. But I started working on them in October when I realised that. I didn't just go jump into it like, that can wait till January.
But people do. Like, they tail off, don't they, this last time of the year, and I've been, like, full pelt.
Oh, God, yeah, I've been running harder this month than I have probably for the last of them. But, yeah, I think 13th is a really good date to do it in, because obviously you'll have had the people that maybe thought they had an idea of what they wanted it to be, and then you can kind of go in and actually like pick up the pieces and set them on the straight and narrow from
Yeah.
the off.
Definitely. And then the kids have been back at school for a week, because that first week as well, as a mum, or, you know, it's just chaos, like trying to find that routine again. So I thought, give them a week to get them back in school, and then it starts then.
Okay, so gonna wrap this up, but before we do, the one goal that you're gonna achieve by December 2025, what's it gonna be?
Family home.
Family home. Okay.
Setting
Shaping
that
it.
bar high. Yeah.
Yeah. You've
Try
heard
not-
it here.
Yeah. Try not to knock the microphone over.
Yeah, true. Well, thank you very much for coming on. And when obviously it launches, we will share all of the links to CollabHERate as well.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for your time.